Welcome to Behind the Screen, where we take you past the pixels and into the real lives of content creators, streamers, and artists from around the world. In this series, we explore the journeys, inspirations, and challenges that shape the people behind the screens. Today, we have Dr. Marmalade, a talented music producer known for his unique blend of genres, ranging from salsa and hip-hop to electronic beats.
Whoa, Degina. I'm gonna have to stop this intro.
Oh, sorry, Digi. Is everything all right?
This is way too stiff. Too clean. Let me take over. This is one of my guys, after all. Boricua.
All right, let's hear it.
Thank you. Okay, so let me do a few changes here. Set the mood. Right. Move this around. Okay. All right, perfect. Great background. Now I gotta take care of the accents. Marmalade. Marmalade, mermelada. Mermelada. Doctor Mermelada. Perfect. Doctor Mermelada, a.k.a. Dr. Marmalade, es un artista de la música del género clasificado como Latin Urban. Marmalade fue criado en Puerto Rico. El compositor autodidacta se clasifica como introvertido e independiente. El artista bilingüe se aprovecha de sus habilidades e intuiciones musicales de su crianza para crear música que desafía las convenciones del género urbano, latino y más allá. Ahora sí, esto es más cómodo, papá. Antes de comenzar, ¿quieren saber qué pienso de su música? Deja darte un par de palabras. El tipo está cabrón.
I'm gonna be the one to make it. I'm gonna be the one to break the cycle. I'm gonna be the one to take it. Fucked around and I became my idol. Dios bendiga a toda mi gente. Voy a decir hasta lo innecesario, por si acaso no me entiende. Estoy aquí con esto, voy pa' largo.
Alrighty. So, before I start with you, I just wanted to ask how you wanted to approach this language-wise. We can either go full-on Spanish, we can either go Spanglish, English. I'm asking you because obviously this is for you, this is your interview, and I want to know the type of people you want to reach out. So, I can do whatever.
Okay. Spanglish is good. I like the idea of an interview with me having a weird barrier to entry.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that you have a lot of fans in Puerto Rico, and I don't want to make it like super gringo, and then it's like, who the hell is this guy? Like, what happened with his accent? Because you don't have an accent. Like, it's more or less the same example with me that a lot of people tell me, dude, you don't have an accent. You don't have a Puerto Rican accent. What happened? And so
I like to be the instigator when shit like that happens. Like, oh yeah, pray tell, let me know what a Puerto Rican accent sounds like, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, please, you have the floor. Be as racist as possible. That'd be fantastic to try out.
Like, all right, white person. I don't want to get you in trouble or nothing, but please elaborate on what you mean.
It's happened to me before with I work with executives, and they see you, and I'm not gonna say I'm super white, but they see you and they assume that you're either Italian or something like that, and then they start talking shit about Latinos, and I'm like, yo, I'm Puerto Rican. You are, but your accent. And I'm like, sí, señor, I forgot to use my accent. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, like, I don't know what you want me to sound like. Is this better for you?
So, I mean, I guess I should then ask you, like, where did you learn your English? Because I'll tell you mine, but I want to know how you learned your English and how you picked up on the quote-unquote American accent.
Oh, easy. Cartoon Network. I watched that shit with the closed captions on, and
same here.
Like, I learned how to basically like correlate what I was hearing to what I was reading.
Yeah.
And like that was a big learning step for me. There was obviously school, but it didn't help my diction anywhere near as much as watching cartoons.
I 100% agree with you. For me, it was Cartoon Network, but it was also those old sitcoms from Nick at Night. So I a lot of them had northeastern accents, so I would pick up on that. And like you said, I would put on the closed captions, and I would just emulate that. And that's where I just it became my thing. It became how I speak. And it's happened a lot before that, like I mentioned, that you talk to people here in the United States and they think that you've been here all your life. And then you're like, no, dude, I moved here in 2016. Like, I haven't stepped on this land for forever. And so they're so surprised. Have you been here before?
What's the continental U.S.? A couple of times. Nothing crazy. Okay, so when I was much younger, the only couple of reasons I would ever go to the U.S. is, one, sometimes we would go out to Disney back when economically that made sense.
Yeah.
When I was very little. And after that, we only went to Orlando to like visit my grandparents when they had a house, and then they just moved back here. So ever since then, we stopped going to the U.S. for like family reasons. It was mostly just like business related stuff for my mom because she's like a business owner. And,
oh wow, that's awesome.
And after that, like my times going to the U.S. have been incredibly recent. This year I've been to Utah, briefly Fort Lauderdale, and for a while Tampa.
Got it.
That was a fucking crazy ride. And thank you to the guys, my friends, Authorship, Elite GB, and Lucky Face. These are like collaborators from an old collective that I'm in, a music collective. And they I met them in real life. They were fucking incredible, sweet people, and as I expected. But like it's so crazy to meet your internet friends in real life. It is actually insane to associate a face and body to the voice after all the time that they're just a JPEG on your funny rectangle.
Yeah.
It's a crazy feeling.
Yeah, actually, that's what happened with my wife. I met her online, and when I saw her for the first time, like I said, in 2016 in New York, it is an insane feeling, because up until that moment, at least for me, before you meet that person, there is a slight tinge of like, is this a scam? Like, am I gonna get jumped or something?
Yeah.
You never know.
That feeling never really leaves. For as sure as you are that they are not an evil villain with ulterior motives and a Persian cat that they rub and annoy the shit out of while laughing. As sure as you know that they aren't that feeling just never leaves the back of your neck.
I mean, listen, at least for me, when you're going from a little tiny island the size of a county, and then you're moving into the continental U.S., and it is such a huge change, physically speaking, because you can get lost and nobody can find you anywhere else, because you hear all these stories of people going into the woods and never coming back and all that shit. And the island, at least, you can keep walking straight and you just hit the beach and that's it. You're good.
Yeah. You can just keep going and eventually reach a thing everyone knows.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I'm by this thing. And like they don't need GPS. They just know where you are. Oh, yeah. That Burger King. Gotcha.
So, I mean, you did mention the island.
They know. You tell them what the thing next to the Burger King is. They know which out of the 3 million you're in immediately.
Yeah. They give you these strange-ass routes that just say, oh, just go to the place that they have the La Mata de Plátano, and then you make a left, and then you do this. Yeah. And then when you reach Abuela Yeya, you know Abuela Yeya, right? Then after that, not that one, go to the other one, and it's the other one, the other. Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, fantastic.
Is your Burger King on a 3-way road, and the building across the street is like dilapidated? All right, that narrows it down to 5 Burger Kings. I'm on my way to the closest one.
Yeah. So you mentioning the island? I mean, I haven't been there in almost like 8 years. I mean, what has changed? I'm curious.
What has changed?
Yeah, what's been different? Let's say from 2016 to now.
Oh, from 2016, Christ. Prices for everything have gone up. The funny tax is still 11.5% unless it's like
Jesus Christ.
food.
Unless it's food?
Yeah, unless it's like food. Maybe it's because it's so early in the morning that I'm blanking out on this, but it's either like it's there's a 7% tax on pre-prepared food.
Oh, pre-prepared food. Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
think
like,
I
it's
remember
actively
that.
incentivizing us to eat outside.
Oh,
So that's neat. Other than that, the actual sales tax on everything is 11.5 still.
That's crazy. And here in New York is not even that. In New York is expensive as hell. That's insane. 11%.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Man.
We were like, you sort of like read the room, even though I don't like to express any sort of political affiliation. It doesn't matter what side you're in. You read the room anywhere you're in. Nobody likes this 11.5% tax nonsense. Not a
Hell
soul.
no. No, not at all. No, it's crazy because because of the Foraker law, where anything that goes into the island, it has to get taxed, and then it has to go into like a U.S. ship only. It just that increases the prices for everything so much. I mean, when my parents came over to visit me, I just have a Subaru car. That's it. That's what I have. And so my mom was like, "Dude, this is an awesome car. This is like luxury in Puerto Rico." And I was like, "What are you talking about? This is a Subaru, Mom." But yeah, when she showed me the prices for Subarus, it's like, what is this? It's crazy that how the prices are over there. And I think that, I'm remembering now the reason why I left, unfortunately, is the economic part of it, and for you to find something better. And I guess I'm jumping off here towards you. Like, is this something you're looking at because of the music scene, or you still like to be in this environment in Puerto Rico?
Well, I genuinely love it here. I love every single person I've met in here to bits. Everyone I still keep up with that hasn't left the island.
Yeah.
Like it is so fulfilling to like just get together with them and like catch up on things, and then like I like the reason that people are like reaching back over to me is because they heard of this stuff I've been doing with my music.
Yeah.
Like the music I've been putting out since mid 2023 is like my proudest work. It is the thing that I want to represent me in an artistic level, and like people hitting me up just to tell me that is rad, and they're so happy to hear that I'm still doing music and then like turning that into a physical hangout again, so catching up with these people, and then I start doing like shows in these little venues here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that has been such an experience that made me feel like I belonged on the island in a whole new way. Cause the way I grew up, I grew up surrounded by mostly American media, and that sort of colored my development to say the least. And my like growing up, my Spanish didn't deteriorate towards my high school years, and then I sort of had to just kind of build it back because I felt weird about getting away from my roots in that sense.
Yeah.
Just because of the kind of media I was surrounded by, I felt super weird about that, and in a weird way, it has retroactively helped my work, my music work, to just rekindle my relationship with my own, heritage, to put it one way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's super.
I definitely noticed that on your music and your singles that I'm basically listening to on loops ever since I think Saturday. I've been listening just to catch up on different things that you've been implementing. And when I first met you on Discord and Shiro just drops one of your singles there, I think it was, and let me look at it right now. I think it was Apágalo. And I fell in love with that. The only negative thing I gotta say about Apágalo is that it's too damn short. It's too damn short. I want it so much because you start off with a typical type of R&B beat, mostly hip hop. Sorry, and then when you kick in that salsa type of groove, I showed it to my wife and she was listening to you, and then she's like, "Okay, this is kind of cool." But when the salsa kicks in, she's like, "Oh, damn, wait a minute, yo!" And I love that stuff. And that's why I did mention that it made me think a little bit of Residente. Because he does that stuff, that he mixes so many different genres of music. And you do the same thing as well. And not just Latin music. I've heard you mixed in lo-fi. I've heard you mixed in house music. I heard you mixed in merengue. I've heard you mixing electronica. All of this stuff.
Tú y yo somos socios, mami, tú y yo son clientes. Nos fuimos pa' Genosí, con Obi-Wan que nos vi. Cuando me di la dosis, guardaba pa' la proxy. Sin entrar en detalle, como la de Rocky. Yo estaba por la calle, unos piripiropi.
And so, I mean, how do you get inspired by all of these things? What's your process that you're like, you know what? A good chunk of merengue would be like perfect here. And then we switch over to electronica. Like, how does that work for you?
Well, really, the answer to that is I just have a deep, rich history with just loving music since I was little. I grew up trained to be a drummer. Like when I was single-digit age, my parents were preparing me for a life as a drummer.
Yeah.
And they paid for lessons and everything. We went to a recording studio that they I believe they worked with like once before and then one last time after for like a different record. I grew up being a drummer that like was being taught how to read the sheet music for drumming, which I would come to find out later in my life that I am just awful at reading music in general, like off a sheet of paper. I could sort of glean what the ones for drums meant because it's just like you hit the thing and then you hit the other thing.
Yeah,
there's not much else that could mean in the context of drums. You start putting chords in front of me for any other instrument, I give up immediately. Frame one, I'm just done. And like that's how I was trained on a musical context, but like I was always surrounded by I grew up in a household that just loved singing and playing instruments, and that just sort of you just kind of absorb that going forward in your life, growing up in a house like that, and you pick up on certain things that you can't really articulate in words, and what it was is just we're just listening to a lot of music, and I'm loving a ton of it, and I'm letting it like change me on a fundamental level. And then there's the video games. That was when I'd like to say that the video games were like the start of me starting to develop my own creative identity. Was when I started to like noticing, oh my god, video game music is incredible.
Yeah.
In a house that does not care for video games, they just see it as this thing for my kid to leave me alone with for a bit. And like the like one of the most influential. I have a weird list of influences as a result. As far as like influences when I was like literally developing as a human being, I'm talking. I have influences such as Whitney Houston, Soy Chiterada, the fucking Ludacris later. Kanye West's Late Registration is a big one for me.
Yeah.
And we got some weird ones like Chingy's Hood Star. What the fuck was I doing listening to Chingy's Hood Star, Dad? What the fuck was that? But I swear to God, my dad still stands by Chingy being one of the greats in his book. And like, I see what he means. He's really of his time, but I kind of love the Hood Star record so much, and it has low key influenced me a little bit when I was first starting to make beats. I did take a cue or two from that record and that entire like branch of music, but like it was video games that was the thing, the X factor that changed the way I thought about composition like forever.
I mean, so I'm stammering. I'm sorry because it's just I'm smiling because it feels like you were living my life as well. I was the same way with my family. They were extremely musical. My mom sang a lot, and my dad played the flute for 20 years. And he used to just show us random music. He would show us stuff from Chopin to Vico C to merengue, Juan Luis Guerra, Chicago, and then Billy Joel. It didn't matter. And we were so influenced by that, and by that I mean me and my sibling, that by the time I became an adult, I just had this humongous repertoire of just things that I was listening to constantly. To this day, I still do. And so I have to thank my parents for that. But when it came to music, that it really stuck out to me, that I started to appreciate it 10 times even more, was when I hit video games. And you're right. I mean, for me, having that connection of you physically playing something and at the same time your actions are swelling with the music, it's an unreal experience to me, at least. Like, how was it for you then? What was that X factor, that connection that you found in games and music?
The X factor that I found in games, music, and just composition in video game music was the amount of rules it was breaking that were established to me when I was little, but like implicitly established, you know, like just sort of stuff you pick up on about how music is composed for like what your parents listening to. Like one of the I really like, in hindsight, you know, because at the time you don't really realize how much you love like a good chunk of the stuff. Like when I was little, I didn't realize how much I loved salsa music. But thing about salsa music is it's all just it's all just spicy jazz, to put it one way. And and jazz is a constant subversion of where you think a thing is going, and that like in salsa that works so fucking good. There's this it's around the 70s and early 80s. My dad considers that like the golden age of salsa.
Oh,
and that
of
is
course.
Because a lot of those records were still in part jam sessions that were completely improvised. Like this is, each of those songs has an entire pocket dedicated to freestyling on behalf of the instrumentalists.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunately not a thing you see much of anymore. Yeah. And if you see any of it, it's like a small pocket in a larger composition that is like, it's got to be by the book the way it was composed and stuff. And like, yeah, I get it. There's more legal scrutiny around composition and stuff like that. But like that just made older salsa just more fun to listen to, because they're just some guys going off the cuff for like a lot of that song. So a lot of those songs are like there's plenty of salsa songs that are just straight up like 6 to 7 minutes, and like
I
so.
mean, most
So much.
famously, El Cantante from Hector Lavoe. That's a
Oh my God, that one
long
is
ass
so
song.
long, and it's one of my favorite things ever. It's the
Yeah,
core. It like compositional cues from that song are kind of the core of the song Apágalo. Because
really.
yeah, you like it isn't me just sampling the thing. I did like just kind of build it from scratch.
Yeah,
But like the chord progression is that one section of El Cantante, but with like a big asterisk in there.
really.
There's very subtle like tiny chord decisions in there that I made because I wanted it to sound more like a different thing, so that when salsa happens, it
Yeah.
takes you more by surprise.
Fucked around and I became my idol. Dios bendiga a toda mi gente. Voy a decir hasta lo innecesario. Por si acaso no me entiende. Estoy aquí con esto, voy para largo. I'm gonna be the one to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do foreshadow a little bit in that song when you start that you might switch it up because uh, a lot of the times the other songs that I've heard, I can mostly tell that you're sticking a little bit to the hip hop or the urban, which is fine. But in this one, you're doing sort of a melodic foreshadow when you go da 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 ba da ba ba da ba, and in my mind I'm like, oh wait a minute, da 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 da. Okay, okay, I see it, and then when you hit that last stride, it's like ding 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 ding, and I'm like, dude, come on, give me more. I gotta put it out on loop all the time because I love that break. It's so good, and that's what makes me fall in love with your music because you are just interweaving all of these genres to it, and that's what makes it just kind of stand out to me at least. But I can definitely tell your influence with video games as well. Once you start implementing more electronica type of thing.
Echa pa' acá tú también. Yo quiero hacerlo, jálate por el pelo. Vente que lo vamos a hacer. Yo quiero hacerlo, jálate por el pelo. Echa pa' acá tú también.
House music. It's just really interesting. That's the type of music that I like when you have people just mixing and mashing things together. I don't know. That's what stands out to me the most. And you definitely seem to be having fun with that a lot. I've seen your Instagram with where you're composing, and sometimes you do these little quizzes on video game music so people can answer you what it is. So I can see those moments where you're like, oh, I'm inspired by this, and you just kind of grab it and you start implementing it. Is that how you more or less work?
Yeah, it's like as far as like the things I end up making, it really is what I feel like at the moment, and I don't really stop working on it until I love it. And part of me getting to that point so fast with Apágalo has a lot to do with the person I included in that song.
Yeah.
They're credited as Joy, and Joy is a wonderful friend of mine that I met in college. I'm pretty sure I met them at like either 2014 or 2015.
Okay.
And they are a great vocalist with an insane amount of potential.
Mm-hmm.
And the subject matter of the song was something that I felt she could also relate to, just from like the times that we spoken about that sort of thing. And I just can't stress enough how important she is to what I consider the appeal of that song. And also, fun fact, she's also the voice you hear whenever I put like a beat tag on an instrumental I've made.
Oh, that's her?
She's the voice, that's also just Joy saying Marmalade.
Marmalade.
I was wondering, like, who is that? That sounds familiar. After listening on your stuff on loop, I was like, I've heard that voice before. Oh, that's cool to know. So are you gonna be? You're thinking about doing more stuff with her?
100%. There has been stuff in the works that I don't know that I'm at liberty to discuss, but
Okay.
it's I'm working on stuff that I'd like to include her in, as well as stuff that's just like hers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just kind of there as a producer and like
Okay.
in a sense like a executive creative director of sorts. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I just I leverage my intuition as the I do all of this by myself guy that handles all production, mixing, and recording, and do my own composition. And I basically make sure I'm constantly on the same page as far as the direction of something with her, because at the moment we work remote together.
Oh, you do this
I
remote?
forget what state she lives at right now, but she's not in the island. She said she's gonna visit this year, so I'm super excited to see her again. Hope
So
that's sooner than later.
So I mean, I've never recorded music, so I don't know how does this work when you do things remotely? Because if you can't do it live, right? Because there's a delay between both of you.
Yeah, it's a matter of sharing some key assets
Okay.
that they can use as reference to record over, and just as long as you're following that to the letter, I can pretty much synchronize everything just fine over here in the form of stems.
Okay.
The key thing that I like to do when I'm working with somebody remotely is we may have desynchronized assets. I sent you a thing to record over, but I still have you on like a Discord call, for example, and I just have a direct hand in like making sure that your recordings are clean and everything. Like there's the mutual screen sharing of each other's workstations to make sure that on a production level I'm overseeing everything, and therefore making sure everything is recorded nice, cleanly, and everything synchronizes just fine. And also some creative direction here and there. Like I can tell them on the spot, hey, try this and see if it works out. Most of the time it does.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. Like, how would you record music? And in my mind, I'm like, but wait a minute, there's a delay. How the hell does that work? But yeah, absolutely, with the recording would help, and then you can synchronize it back. But it still seems like a lot of work, though.
Yeah, well, it may seem like a lot of work, but the truth is, at-home music making has literally never been easier than it is right now.
Really?
Yeah, you've got services like Discord making sure you're constantly talking to each other, even if your workstations are not synchronized. And even then, there are tools. Some still in beta, some a little farther along than I thought. When I recently checked, tools that just like actively synchronize the assets in each other's workstations, even though they're different workstations. Like my friend Mafuba, who is the person who played guitar in Julieta on Late October.
Okay.
They work on Ableton. They recorded all of that on Ableton, then they sent it over. And after we finished Julieta, he told me about this software that we could use, this external like plugin software for the DAWs. The DAW is Digital Audio Workstation, by the way, for those not familiar.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the program where you put the funny music together.
Okay.
And he told me about this software that automatically synchronizes everything. And I'm like, yeah, that is great to hear now that we have finished an album. Ain't that some shit? This could have been marginally easier, but you know what? It like I'm happy to try and figure those things out now and see how it works.
Yeah.
We still haven't given it a shot because our schedules throughout the day are super different.
Yeah.
But next time we've already spoken, and next time we're gonna meet is definitely gonna be to work on something, and we're gonna go ahead and try that like synchronized session software thing, because that might be a game changer for us. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can imagine. So as you mentioned that, I gotta ask because I'm not very familiar with this industry. How is AI kind of seeping into your industry? And if it is, how do you guys as artists feel about that?
Well, I can only speak for me, right?
Yeah, of
As
course.
the individual artist, producer, do everything yourself guy. I have opinions on AI and its usefulness as a tool for us,
Yeah,
as well as I have separate opinions about how it's being used right now, being kind of not super ethical.
of course.
There's a there's a bit of a gray area with stuff like, oh my god, I'm about to get into some internet nonsense. Uh, have you heard of uh, Glorb?
Glorb.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Okay, maybe not off the name, but you've definitely seen their work floating around. Like just trap music, like rap music about like using the voices from SpongeBob characters.
Oh yeah, yeah. TikTok has a ton of those stuff that they just use celebrity voices or whatever to
Yeah,
sing
when
something.
Squidward says, "I'm a stone face killer like my motherfucking house is." Put you with the
Yeah,
dosey don't smack you where your mouth is. uh, uh, sh- uh, Stuff like that. It's kind of an ethical gray area. Because, like, on one hand, I'm having the time of my life listening to this nonsense,
yeah,
right? But on the other hand, uh, it sets an implicit precedent for what we can do with this kind of stuff for completely free. And I
yeah.
can see why the actors responsible for the voice profiles in this AI might feel some type of way about it. You know, that's their livelihood,
Yeah, of course.
their voice, and that's kind of huge that anyone just has access to make the voice of Patrick, make Bill Fagerbaki say, "Keep my fucking name out your mouth like the hard R." Like I would understand if he were to wake up one day and be like, "Huh, I kind of have a problem with this."
Exactly. No, that's true.
But on the
Can't.
on the on the workstation side of things,
Yeah,
like the way on not just the workstation side of things, the more ethical side of things, uh, Image Line, the company responsible for FL Studio, or Fruity Loops as it was once known,
yeah,
their implementation of AI into their tools is actually very, very good, and they have a very clear focus on only improving the tools that they were already providing you
yeah.
using AI where they could implement it. And right now they have implemented it into algorithmic noise reduction is like crazy good. Clip restoration where you record a take and it's too loud and it sounds crunchy and disgusting. AI can help put a sort of a band-aid over that and try to restore the take in that sense. And more recently, stem separation tools. Dude, stem separation is like witchcraft built into FL Studio. You give it a song and it'll try to separate it into drums, instrument, voice, and a different thing I forget. But it's like 4 different channels you can separate one thing into using FL Studio's stem separator that's powered by AI. And there's a lot of projects that it works shockingly well with. Like you drop in records from like the 70s that the way that they were mastered wasn't like they weren't trying to disrespect the clip ceiling.
Yeah.
Like we weren't limiting things as tightly as we are in the, for example, to give you an extreme example, the 2010s EDM craze, the way things were mixed. You look at the waveform for a lot of these songs, and they're just this big blown up sausage on your screen. and like you see the little play needle go across the sausage, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and like you hear how that music sounds. It's like, oh yeah, it sort of makes sense why it looks like a sausage on the screen as it's playing back. Music made in the 70s not like that at all. It's like mastered way lower. There's lots of little peaks and valleys and stuff. And with music that was made that way, FL's AI is shockingly good at separating assets into 4 different channels. And it's scary how good the tools are, but like on ImageLine's side of things, it's I think it only helps the production pipeline. Like no, like I don't think anybody in their right mind is like complaining about this sort of stuff. I'd love to be wrong about that. I'd love to find that side of the conversation where somebody's like, no, stop giving me tools, stop expanding my power for free because all FL Studios updates are free after you buy it the one time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's absolutely unheard of. Now everything is a damn
Yeah.
subscription. Jesus.
Yeah, everything's a subscription, and when it's a perpetual license, you have to buy the next numbered version of the thing you already bought, and they'll give you a special discount rate, which means instead of paying $400 for the thing, you only get to pay $230.
Oh, wow. I'm blessed. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Jeez.
Thanks. I hate it. Yeah, FL Studio is the only software that will give you everything they make in the future for what is disclosed to be the base audio workstation experience.
Yeah.
Like they will continue to add and bug fix and like expand on the feature set of everything for free after you buy it. And
Gotcha.
that you don't see that in other DAWs. You just don't.
It's funny though because you mentioned that stuff in AI, and I mean, you're right. Being a tool is fantastic because it just makes things a lot easier for you guys and me as well, because I also edit and do stuff like that, and it helps me also with audio editing. But yeah, it's undeniable that people will abuse this for other stuff. I don't know. Is there a way to have these programs automatically mark the audio, so if somebody questions it as being AI, they can look for that mark and be like, okay, yeah, this was used by AI, for example. Some images do that. They immediately put like this invisible watermark that a computer can scan and be like, okay, yeah, this is AI.
Well, there's a way that I can tell, but it's only because I'm a nerd with studio reference mixing
Yeah.
hardware to work with. And that is that usually when AI projects when I come across AI projects, there's always like this dead giveaway for a person like me, and that is usually the assets that they are pulling from to create the voice profile of something like that are like really low bit rate, because the data that they're scraping to generate this AI model voice is like some like stolen like pirated copy of the thing that they want to emulate.
Yeah.
And so the bit rate's really low, noticeably lesser quality on the end result once you finished telling an AI to make you sound like Squidward tentacles.
Yeah.
They're not making you sound like Squidward tentacles. They're making you sound like Squidward tentacles if he was your friend on Discord and his internet wasn't.
Got it.
That's kind of a dead giveaway for me. And like AI as it stands hasn't really shaken that off yet. It's one of those things where sometimes the AI will not consider a certain piece of the sample you're feeding it as a voice. So
Yeah.
like a bit of the original kind of creeps out a little bit, in a weird and uncomfortable, glitchy sounding way. And like whenever that happens, the fact that you can hear that original thing be higher bit rate than the rest of what you're hearing is still an issue
Yeah.
with AI voice changing. It's getting better, but in order for it to get better, they need to start scraping data that's not depreciated or just low quality to begin
Yeah.
with, and maybe I'll see AI as this like, oh yeah, you're just like obsolete now. Like I don't think that that's gonna happen for a bit because we still haven't worked out the kinks of making sure that a guy with headphones can't tell that this is the quality of this thing is, but especially compared to the instrumental you put the voices in,
Yeah.
that's kind of a big one. You put an AI voice through your average vocal chain for rap music, and that bitrate compression will stick out like a sore thumb at the high end, like the bright S sounds.
Yeah.
Like that's a fucking dead giveaway that Squidward is talking to you on his Xbox mic.
So then, okay, so then you can say that at least audio professionals can pick up on this stuff, and if something were to be into question, you can bring somebody in and they can tell, look, because of the bit rate here compression, you can definitely tell that something's fishy going on.
Yeah,
But
like sampling from lower quality sources to create that voice, and that's not even getting into on a policy level.
yeah,
Individual services are making it part of their terms and conditions to mention explicitly if your thing is AI driven or AI assisted.
got
So
it.
like that right there sounds like the best we can do right now.
Yeah,
Is like put that responsibility on the hands of the people making this stuff because fortunately for everyone, the people who use AI to make stuff and like that's their main thing, they're pretty proud of the fact that they're using AI to make this stuff.
yeah,
So because like their whole thing is, look at how far this is getting. Isn't this exciting?
yeah.
We and I'm going to continue to do this as the technology improves and make cooler and cooler stuff.
So do you,
Yeah, that's I think that's what we can do right now. Like the best that we're doing is companies on an individual level putting that in their policies. That's like the best right now that we can do.
so do you see a future on the opposite end where some artists embrace the AI stuff and they sell you a subscription to, I don't know, Kanye West voice sampling so then you can use it to whatever. And so that's how they make money then. That they just lend or lease their voices so other people can make stuff or quote unquote collabs with these artists. I mean, is that something that could be a thing?
That is that is a very interesting subject for me right now. There's because like the idea that you could the tech is constantly like just lapping the law in terms of the new stuff we're making versus legislation and regulation and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Tech is running circles around the law in that sense.
Yeah.
And if we're going to start seeing people using AI to recreate the voice of Kanye West so that they can make their own records, quote unquote, featuring Kanye West, we would have to start having a very serious conversation about someone's vocal cadence in itself being an intellectual property that the owner can protect.
Yes, sir.
And that is like something that makes sense to people using AI right now, but to a person who isn't in this sort of thing, they're like sitting in the fetal position in a corner, in a dimly lit corner, and thinking about what the fuck what do you mean I have to own the intellectual property to my own voice?
Yeah.
And so that I can legally tell somebody, hey, stop, that's not me. Don't put my name on that because that isn't me.
Yeah.
That is that's understandably to some people terrifying.
Yeah.
That is a very real conversation we need to have. Is a vocal cadence something that you own the intellectual property rights to? Are there contracts surrounding the nature of how your voice sounds? And can a company own that? Oh God, no.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not too far-fetched. The thing is, I'm asking these questions because AI grows so exponentially. Like, they show a year ago a stupid AI video of something that resembles a Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it's like all broken down. It looks awful.
It's the most hideous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, but fast forward to today, and now, even though you can still tell certain things are off, I mean, goddamn, it's a year. This is not 20 years down the line. So what's 5 years going to look like? And on top of that, you're mentioning legislation, and we have all of these, old ass boomers that they don't even understand AI, and they're not going to do anything about it for real unless they steal their identity somehow. Once they get affected by it, then the government is going to be like, oh, this is fucked up. We really got to do something about this AI stuff. Yeah. But I also think about it in the artistic sense, because I'm sorry to say, but it is damn easy to steal content from whatever. It doesn't matter if you're a small artist or a humongous one. There's ways of doing it. And so, thinking in the American culture, we want to make everything a service. We want to sell it. So I'm thinking, okay, so what if people or big artists just relent and they're like, you know what? You want my voice? Fine. Just give me $15 a month and it's yours. And, unless you're doing, weird stuff with it, just keep to the policy and you'll be fine. And then I get a 30% kickback on commission on your song or your picture or whatever. And I see that happening. People that, they just want to kick back, relax. I already did all my music career. Now it's time to just raking the money passively, and I mean, be crazy. It's like, and I'm not saying that Joy would do this. This is just an example. Right. But Joy telling you, oh, I'm remote right now. I can't work with you. You know what? Just pay me $20 a month. My voice is yours. Just record whatever. I'll listen to it and then I'll give you final approval. And then whatever you earn through Spotify, just give me 50% of that and we're good. And at that point, are you like, did they work for this? Did they not? Are they collaborating for real? Like, it is a bunch of
licensees. Right?
What's that?
They're just, at that point, in that particular scenario, they would just be licensees for their own cadence, because they're not doing anything. They're just allowing someone else to do something, and that's licensing. And in all honesty, I think Joy, I don't ever want to speak for Joy, but Joy to me, in my experience, seems like the kind of person who would hear a scenario of a thing like that and probably burn down the building, the headquarters that's happening, because the notion that you can just have a little portal, a little Etsy store, but it's your goddamn voice.
Yeah.
And you buy the permission to use it for a project, and there's very minimal involvement from them. That is insane. And in fact, I think that would create a whole new problem if an artist is actually okay with doing that, and that, just licensing their voice out to people like that on a little subscription, or just pay for an individual license perpetually for the one project.
Yeah.
Either way, you're going to create a situation in the digital age of music distribution where seeking out your name to listen to your work is going to be a problem of authenticity, because you can put your life into your work on a personal level and just record everything traditionally and put everything together the way you want it to, make the music you want, and one day you decide to kick back and license your voice forever, that's going to create a situation on your artist page anywhere in any service where like the most popular thing you've done may not even be a thing you did. And it'll be this thing this other guy did. Let's say that for the sake of this example that it fucking sucks. and you've created a problem of authenticity in what's supposed to be a landing page for you and all things you. So I don't think artists should do that if they're considering it, because they'll land on a bunch of garbage music you had nothing to do with before the algorithm eventually decides, okay, here's one that he actually made, because like the algorithm isn't designed to fucking make to know the difference. It just knows that Kanye West is just tagged to this song.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. Like, if we were to start like doing that, and let's see, like it would kind of be an interesting way of finding out what the motive of certain artists are, if they're just willing to license out their voice for some nonsense like that, for that kind of business model. It would be like, okay, so you are okay with not making music ever again. That's crazy.
Exactly. I mean, I think I'm seeing it through the lens of mostly more being a gamer and being a fan of tech and technology, and just seeing how everything is shifting towards a service. Everything is shifting towards, you gotta pay $15 a month, $10 a month. I see my bills every month, and I'm like, why the hell am I spending $150 on all of these streaming services, and I barely touch it, and applying that to movie making, editing, or music, or artistry, or whatever. I mean, there are no laws or legislature in place to protect artists like you, and this sort of business just booms, and it happens, and they're just gonna be like, oh well, the artist is fine with it, that's their product, that's their voice, so it's absolutely fine. And they can also use the argument of sampling, like, for example, this new song with David Guetta that was what was it, that I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright, baby, na 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 na, best fucking Adam. That song, I was listening to it with my nephews, and they were like pumped about it. They loved it, and I said, "You do know that this is not new, right? This beat is not new." And they're like, "What are you talking about, dude? This is Blue by Eiffel 65." And then I show them the song. They're like, oh, they didn't know that existed. So it's an erasure, technically, of that other artist. Now people think, oh, that's David Guetta. Yeah, he made that stuff. Even though probably David Guetta put all the credits and all that, and, you can find it.
David Guetta and his team licensed that song and, like, elements of it to use on this new thing. So nobody's actually mad that this song, like, in terms of the original authors, no one's actually upset that this is happening, right? That just means the person is sitting around getting their money for a thing somebody else wanted to make based on something of theirs that they loved, and that's a big thing there. That this was sampled because it was cool that they sampled this, and the song would fall apart if they didn't sample this.
Yeah.
Because that particular song, like, the entire appeal of that song hinges on you remembering what that is.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
And if you didn't know who Eiffel 65 was, and you listen to that song, and you were like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard, I am so sorry. Because there's a lot of incredibly popular music that samples other incredibly popular music, but it's incredibly popular in a different country. So it's and other such scenarios. But like the core difference between stuff like that and AI is that nowhere in the funny David Guetta song do you ever see Eiffel 65 credited as the collaborator, as in Eiffel 65 is in this song?
Yeah.
That is not a thing. With AI, and you use a person's voice, let's say another artist's voice, the thing that they're doing is that on these artist pages they are claiming that that's them. And that is a fraudulent claim.
Yes. Absolutely.
that like the person you are claiming to be here and like using their name for marketing reasons, they are not actually involved in your project.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how we have to approach it legally, because the other way to approach it is you can't use my voice. My voice is my intellectual property. At that point, you are admitting that a vocal cadence is something a guy can own on a sheet of paper that says, I own your vocal cadence. And that is scarier than anything
Yep.
about this conversation, is that can be a reality.
Yep.
I can sign away my voice to a person, and now they have the right to just use my voice for things that I never did or said. And that I gotta say, that's pretty goddamn scary.
Yeah.
A weird future, like dystopian even.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I didn't want to give you a crisis while you just woke up. But it's something that I wanted to ask.
That's a lot. Since the tools have been falling onto my lap as an FL Studio user, I've been thinking about this stuff a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've also been thinking about, because since I've been interviewing so many different content creators and artists and, musicians like you, and I hear the work that they put into it. And yes, there are tools to help them, get their content faster out there, but you still have to push through the creative process. You can't emulate that with AI. So that's something that's always been on my mind, and asking somebody like you, because I know nothing about this business. I love music, but I don't know how it works. And I know that musicians get screwed every direction when they try to put their content out there. And I know that I've heard also that Spotify, for example, a lot of artists say that they hate Spotify because of their business model towards artists, that you guys end up screwed up at the end of the day. So, I mean, what is the best way that we can support you?
Marmalade.bandcamp.com. No, I'm just joking.
I mean, is it true what they say about Spotify not being the best business model for musicians who are starting out?
Yeah, it is. It is. If you're just starting, it is awful. It's terrible. It gets the most attention and it pays the worst. And like, getting attention to begin with is not something that's just going to happen because you're on Spotify. So it's a death sentence, and all you're hinging on is, I'm on major streaming platforms. That's not all you need. You need to turn around and become annoying with it. You have to actually create a vanity project around yourself, because like, I'm sorry, but photography, video, just like content surrounding your work is necessary for people to find out about your work. You just have to have a photographer. You have to take pictures. And the best way to support yourself, the best way to make sure that you as an artist get to thrive, is to like actually build a community around your stuff. And that means talking to people. That means going outside. That means being a part of a local scene, and like shaking hands, making meaningful relationships outside. And like, because like the core most important thing about what we do is that we love it first and foremost.
Yeah.
And you have to surround yourself with people who love this music shit, not just your music shit. Like we love this genre. We love things about it. We love where it comes from. We love discussions about where it comes from and stuff like that. and you just have to surround yourself with people that love that love what you do.
Yeah.
You know, like love what it is that you guys do as a community. Uh, I surround myself with people that can't that you know in their words they can't get enough of the stuff I've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
and people and in a working relationship sort of thing. My photographer is enthusiastic about the work that they are helping promote. You know, like everybody loves what they're doing.
Yeah.
The photo guy loves taking pictures, loves framing things, loves going in and post and color grading and shit like that. Everybody loves the means of production.
Mm-hmm.
Because the means of production is them. It comes from a tastemaker perspective. Like everything that we do is an amalgamation of what your life has been up to this point and how the things that you've consumed throughout your life changed you and shaped your tastes. That is that is a thing that makes that gives your work soul and and to circle back to AI is not going to have that. It's just not. There's so much about there's so much about the human experience in general that makes music and media in general great, and
Yeah.
AI is not going to be there. Not anytime soon. A lot of it is like, especially when you just let AI do its own thing. Like if it isn't, if a thing is AI assisted, it's probably pretty good because there's still a human being writing that behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's still a human being putting the beat together without the help of AI on a compositional level. It's still a human being creatively directing all this stuff with the funny SpongeBob voice. Uh, but if you let AI compose by itself, it fucking sucks. It's like really not good.
Yeah.
Because what it has to pick from, if you let it compose, it has to scrape data, right? So the data that a composer that an AI just meant to put notes together and chords and shit,
Yeah.
they just it's just raw music theory, you know, chords and like book learning on that shit. There's a
Yeah.
lot about music that isn't book learning. And the AI will never know what the fuck that is unless you just straight up tell it by giving it direct reference to things human beings made. And that's a giant Achilles heel on AI's part. That's why I don't think it'll get to what we're doing, what we're constantly doing over here in funny human with a laptop land.
Yeah.
We're just doing things by ourselves. Like that. Like there won't be a replacement for the artist because the artist is a human being, and that is so much that you can't condense into a few sentences. And it's important that music is made by beings that are really difficult to decipher into a few short sentences. It's just impossible. That's wonderful about music. That's wonderful about media.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so you were speaking about like that soul factor, that human factor. I mean, so circling back to you overall, I want to get to know more of a because I'm looking at pictures of you right here, and I'm noticing something kind of recurring. Your theme here, the eight, the number eight. Is there a reason for that? Are you obsessed with it? Did the eight do something to you when you were young?
Uh, uh, the eight. I was on my way back to my mansion with my two parents, and an eight met me in a dark alleyway with a gun and killed both my parents. Then it ran away with my mother's pearls, and I was there with my dad bleeding out in my arms.
And that was the origin of Marmalade.
Yeah, really, the character The character of there is a character called Dr. Marmalade. It shows up on one episode of SpongeBob and then never again. He's merely a plot device
Oh,
for
okay.
one episode. He is one of the one of the board members of in the board of the directors of quote unquote Tree Dome Enterprises. In an episode where Sandy had like the show just remembers that Sandy is a scientist and there should be plots written around that.
Yeah.
And so this episode, Dr. Marmalade is one out of three monkeys that come down with these little domes on their heads so that they can breathe underwater to check on their investment in Sandy's tree dome, which is a lab.
I think I remember this. Yeah.
And like, if she doesn't come through with compelling results on her research on the undersea life within a few days, they're gonna cut her funding, and she has to leave because they gotta deconstruct the tree dome.
Oh, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I remember this
the plot is,
episode.
oh no! If I don't do this, I have to leave Bikini Bottom. That's the plot of the episode. And there's this big lumbering monkey guy with a little vest on him, looking dapper as hell. His name is Dr. Marmalade. He goes, "At your service," and that's one of the two or three lines he speaks in the entire episode. I used to have that as a profile picture, and back when I was not sure what the hell I even wanted to do with this music stuff, I was experimenting with like 5 other names
Yeah.
because I was trying 5 other different things, and one of those things was EDM. There's a reason all these names and all this stuff is just like gone. You can't find it anymore. It's because I eventually just found out what the fuck it is I wanted to do, what it is I liked about the advent of making music. And I just landed at what I was doing under the name Dr. Marmalade, and that just sort of stuck for me. The avatar used to be just a picture of that character from that episode of SpongeBob. And then my friend Mafuba made me a 1930s like rubber hose cartoon rendition of that character, but like just their head. And I was like, dude, I love how this looks. This is so cool. And he did that for me. And so of course, I proudly like wore the funny JPEG of the 1930s cartoon monkey.
Yeah, I see it here.
Like, oh, that is so like cool that I have this like custom made ready-made identifier for me and my stuff. And while I did eventually stop using it because I realized if I wanna do this, if I wanna like embrace my roots in this music stuff, I have to. There are some things I just need to do, and one of those is show my face.
Yeah.
And so I have been. I've been carrying myself, my image with like just my face and just pictures of me, because it needed to get personal for me to become fulfilling again, the music stuff. So I just I just linked up with some friends. They linked me with a photographer, and we did some shoots. And like ever since the song "Gloomy and Tipsy," it's just been like, all right, this whole thing with pictures is just what it's gonna be. And I finally became like comfortable with that when like some months before I finished and put together Late October. That was like the turning point for me in like what I wanted to do, the direction I wanted to go for my image going forward and my music.
Got it. But so then the 8 is just a play on the word?
Yeah, it just has to do with that. You can also take the route of the reason I kept it is because I kept finding layers to it, like stupid layers, like marmalade. What is a marmalade? It's a drink made out of a mix of fruit. I produce in Fruity Loops. So dumb shit like that. Sure, like
Let's go with that.
I kept finding layers, and I was just like, you know what? All of this is correct. Fuck it.
Let's go with that.
All of you are right.
And so you're doing this music stuff, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what is like your biggest influences when it came to video game music?
My biggest video game influences, and you do mean influences as in they changed me and the way that I do things.
Anything basically that inspired you, whatever how you want to interpret it.
Right. Those things. That would be. Those would be games that changed me and my music brain forever. That's Ape Escape on PS1. That's Mega Man X4, Mega Man 8. To some degree, when my brother got a GameCube, he got that bitch with Luigi's Mansion, and later, well, actually no, he got Super Mario Sunshine first. Then he was going to get Luigi's Mansion, among other weird games. Not a lot of people have know about, like Evolution Worlds, which I didn't even know was a sequel until I was an adult. Gundam Battle Assault 2. That game's soundtrack is like synth rock, and synth rock was kind of just like incredibly important to me growing up, more so than I initially realized, because Mega Man X4 is also synth rock.
Yeah.
And Mega Man 8 was more into the electronic side of things. There was like hints, like vestiges of drum and bass elements were in there, but it was mostly weird anime ass takes on like house and techno and other funny electronic genres that are blanking out on me right now. But a lot of games did a lot of interesting things with music that just stuck with me forever.
So I see that you're referencing a lot of Eastern games, mainly from Japan. So
100%.
that's your main thing. Do you have any Western games that also called out to you?
Western games whose music called out to me. Damn, I know that there are some. I know.
Because I'm in agreement with you. I mean, a lot of Japanese games have brilliant music. But I just wondered, because you mentioned specifically just Eastern.
Right.
And yeah.
Because like the stuff that inspired me in the West is largely not video game stuff.
Got it.
But if I were to name one, here's a weird one. Ratchet and Clank.
Really?
Ratchet and Clank has like more stuff going on under the hood of its music than people realize, and people usually don't realize, because the way the sound is mixed in that game, you're constantly blasting creatures that scream.
I know.
So you're hardly ever paying attention to the music when you're playing a Ratchet and Clank game. It's just constant death that obscures the soundscape, and like that's fine, that's fun. I remember also being partial to, Jak and Daxter. Jak 2 specifically is a game whose music stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those games where you're just attempting to mind your business. And then a thing happens in the open world where the music changes on you, and now it's scary.
Yeah.
It's like the adaptive music of Jak 2, while not super complex and nuanced and crazy, it is adaptive, and it is the kind of thing that you notice when you're just playing a game and you're trying your best to avoid those cops and ever start in trouble with them. You start noticing that, when you get in a car and you hit the thruster, like little drums kick into the thing you were listening to already. Like that's some Nintendo ass shit when you get on Yoshi.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that. There's some Western games that did that stuck out to me, but admittedly, they're not a lot. Like a lot of my video game influence comes from like localized Eastern stuff, and there's a. Do you know about the when Dragon Ball was localized to the U.S.
Yeah.
Like the Funimation dub happened,
Yeah.
and how it had its entire goddamn soundtrack replaced.
Yeah, I heard about that. They did that with a lot of
Yeah,
animes.
they didn't let like Dragon Ball was like really had this like really happy-go-lucky soundtrack to it, and like the dub that I remember watching when my grandpa would get me some VHSs of like the Boo Saga and shit.
Yeah.
Like they replaced the soundtrack of that show with some hard rock stuff, and like they kept most of the sound effects intact, but the entire music pipeline was replaced, and like I remember that coming as a shock to me because I was a gamer growing up, so I got the Dragon Ball games, and those Dragon Ball games. They straddled the line. They had really cool hard rock shit. But there was very clearly Eastern stuff in there, just like constantly, and the like as great as I think all that stuff is to listen to, if you can find an old copy of like the Budokai games,
Yeah.
and that kind of music, and take it for what it was. It was generally fantastically done stuff for the video game, and which is crazy to think of in hindsight because the composer for that stuff came out and said that he plagiarized basically all of it. So that's crazy news, and I started watching videos on it, and like the videos about the plagiarism are like more than half an hour long, and they cover most of the OST.
Oh,
and I'm just sitting here thinking, dude, I owned a copy of Budokai 3. How did it fucking miss me that they just ripped off Earth, Wind, and Fire? Their song September, they just ripped it off for every time you find an item in the overworld. It just goes da 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 da.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. And it's like not even subtle. Like I'm just hearing it, I'm like, wow, am I just fucking stupid? Or did I not care because I was playing the funny Dragon Ball game?
Yeah, I guess so. That's
okay, maybe that's it because under most of the context that I played these games in, the Budokai ones, I was with friends. I handed a friend a second controller and I said, "Fight me, bitch," and we would fight, and I would lose. Because that's usually the context I remember these games in. Maybe that's why that happened. Oh yeah, I was also a big fan of the Naruto Clash of Ninja games when I was in my old neighborhood when I was little. Playing GameCube at my neighbor's house, and we played the funny Naruto game. I was like, that game. That was before I ever actually watched the show. I would go on to watch the show because of that game.
Wow. I mean, I think from what I've noticed playing both Eastern and Western games tend to give a stage to the music. They give breathing room for you to enjoy and listen to the music. And I'm thinking of Western games, and music is more of a background thing. Because I'm thinking, and I'm actually looking at a list of like the best video game soundtracks of all time, this and that. And I'm looking at games that are from Japan, like The Legend of Zelda. You can immediately recall a lot of the music that is in there because it takes front and center. But there's not a lot of dialogue. And Castlevania, same thing. And those are things that you kind of do remember.
Time too.
What's that?
Castlevania is super wild for its time too. Composition.
Castlevania is fantastic. I love those riffs that they just come up with. It's amazing. Da-da, da-da-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da-da,
Like
da-da-da,
the fact that
da-da-da.
somebody composed that and had to be like, okay, I need to fit this in a tiny computer. And the
Yeah,
thing that they're talking about is it sounds so fucking crazy.
it's awesome. I
And like,
love
of
how they
course,
compose that.
the way they put it together in the funny 8-bit computers was also pretty great too. Like the nuances of the composition
Yeah.
came through just fine. I like part of why I love Castlevania's music so much is how much they were able to retain the character of the composition limited to that chip that they
Yeah.
were working with. Like the amount of personality that still comes through in the way that these songs are put together is this was one of the most remarkable things about gaming in the 80s is like how well the music still carries over and like how well you could just port it back over to modern stuff and it just works. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that goes back to what we're talking about AI. I mean, you can tell AI fit this music here, but it will tell you and regurgitate back like, "Oh, I can't. There's a limit to what this chip can do." But you humans will be like, "Fuck this. I'm doing it myself. I'll find a way to make it work." And they did, and it's great. So
Yeah.
that's the part that just that human factor. I'm also seeing here Hotline Miami. I know it's not an Eastern game, but it also gives the music a stage, a forefront. I don't know if you've ever played Hotline Miami.
I have not actually.
You definitely since you're a musician, play it. You don't even have to beat the game. Just let the game do its thing and listen to the soundtrack. It's fucking brilliant. I would not be surprised if you get a little bit inspired by it because it's a lot of electronica type of house music and it's just really cool. So I highly recommend you take a look at that one.
All right. A weird indie combat game that has really cool music, like deceptively fucking good music, is My Friend Pedro.
Yes, I've heard of that one.
For those listening not aware, My Friend Pedro is a game about a guy with a mask and guns, and like
Yeah.
he hits his head on the way down somewhere, and then this funny little cartoon banana starts talking to him, and telling him that they need to get out. They need to get out of here. They need to find a guy, and you just murder your way over to the guy, and it's like this big fucking crime conglomerate. It's ridiculous, but most importantly, it's a really fun 2D action game where it's just you're a guy with two handguns and you like press a button to split your handguns in different directions and shoot different people in slow motion. You're basically creating like the most badass slow motion trick shot animations by just playing the game well. Like the playing the game well means you're making things look cool as hell.
Yeah.
Like this looks amazing as an action set piece, and
Yeah.
like that is the reward you get for doing well in the game, and it is, and the music in it is fucking fantastic. And every time you activate slow motion, the music slows down, and it's little things like that, little things that like that make the how a game sounds stick out to you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, definitely that's the type of games that I like when the music and the gameplay are so well tied together. I remember when I played, I think it was Far Cry 3, that there's a mission. I don't know if you've ever played Far Cry 3.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yeah.
highly suggest it. For those of you that are listening, there is a mission where they give you a flamethrower and they take you to like this. I think it was a field of marijuana, and you have to like light it on fire. But as soon as you equip the weapon and you start like blazing everything, a Skrillex song just blasts at the same time, and I know obviously that it wasn't composed for the game, but you just feel like you're in the game and you feel the coolest shit in the world, but you're so pumped about it. And I think that's why I just always love video games, because they just enhance whatever medium you privy to, which is either music or video, or picture. It just it has the potential to enhance it, and it just make you just get in there so much. So, but going back to like Eastern games, I understand why the music resonated more with you, because I'm looking at the whole list and I'm thinking more of those soundtracks. And when I look at Western games, I mainly remember more the opening sequence or title sequence of the soundtrack. Like if you say Halo, everybody just does the chanting thing of oh, and that's kind of it. There are one or two songs that kind of stand out, but maybe this is a culture thing, but it's how they treat the music that just kind of takes a backseat in order to enhance what you're seeing more, and you kind of forget about it because I can't think of any games Western that do that enhance the music.
Yeah, a lot of these games are made with the express intent that a good soundtrack, good sound design is stuff you don't even actively notice. And I don't really agree with that. I like part of why I like Ape Escape so much, as good as the actual running around catching monkeys gameplay is. I continue playing. I'm taken through the entire thing because the music I'm playing to is not just incredible by itself, but also adaptive to what you're doing. There's in Ape Escape specifically, you run around catching monkeys, and you can be completely unsubtle about it and stealth out the window if you want.
Yeah.
And like the music will remain as it is. But if you start sneaking, the music starts like hiding away elements so as to be like quieter with you when you want to be quiet.
Oh, that's so cool.
So like you click the left stick and you go prone, you start crawling around, right? The for the most part the drums just sort of fade away. And like at most you'll hear little hi-hat sprinkles just right? Just like that's the only bit of the drums that are left over when you start crawling around. But then you can click the right stick while you're clicking the left stick. And he won't just go prone, he'll like go into like a sideways fetal position and cover his mouth. And like all the drums go away, most of the instruments go away. Just a couple of things cluing you into the rhythm still going.
Yeah.
Remain in the song. And it's so cool that the music is being quieter with you in a way more interesting way than just turning it down.
Yeah.
It's just it's hiding things about itself to make sure that the monkey doesn't notice. That's so fun. That's so much fucking fun built into the core design of the game.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and now something just clicked in my mind. A Western game that actually married music and gameplay super well, and it's the new Doom. I don't know if you've ever played it.
Oh yeah. Oh
holy shit. When you start that game doesn't stop. It's like you married into this game, you're gonna finish it now with this soundtrack. It doesn't stop. And I know that the composer, and the name is escaping me right now.
Oh, Mick Gordon.
Mick Gordon, thank you. He did crazy shit to kind of implement his riffs to adapt with the game on how you're playing it. Like it was, I don't want to say it's AI generated. It's procedurally generated. So he recorded a bunch of different riffs, and depending on how you were playing and the things you were doing, the riff would change with you. And so if you were like pulling off all of these gory kills, it would like really crunch up the sound more. Or if you were using more explosions, the bass would just kick up really loud. I felt like an absolute badass with that game. I can constantly just replay it again and again because It's so good, and it created like one of the most iconic scenes in the series, which is just the opening scene of the title sequence with the song, and then when it finishes, you have the shotgun coming up. It's like, oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It just sets up the scene so well, and for me, music is what made that game work so well. The gameplay is fantastic, graphics are great, but the music is what just gives it that full experience.
Yeah, I can't play Doom and not listen to it. It just doesn't work. And the one of my favorite things about Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, they both do this to some degree.
Yeah,
If you use explosive stuff, you basically do damage to multiple things at a time, right? And
yeah,
as such, you might make a little group of guys that are all ready to get executed, all at the same time, right?
yeah,
So you do the glory kill on them, and like when you do, it's not something that's super easy to notice until you do a lot of them at the same like back to back.
Yeah.
But like every time you glory kill, it does something. I forget what the name of this concept is called. Is it like a shepherd's tone or something? It's like a note that keeps perpetually rising and rising and rising and never stops going up.
Oh, that they combine something rising and something falling, and it makes it seem like it's going forever.
Like something rising way up top, and they sneak in a thing rising from lower beneath in the scale.
Yeah,
And like if you fade one out and creep the other one in, it just sounds like it never stopped going up.
yeah.
I'm probably conflating Shepherd's Tone with what that actually is. I don't remember. It's blanking out for me right now. But you essentially get the point. The game does that, and I really noticed it was there when I got like four different demons to glory kill consecutively, and I noticed that it just kept going, and it's like that is so exhilarating.
Yes.
Like that is driving up like the dopamine effect that chaining glory kills already has. It's like turning that up to 11. There's so much about Doom that is like the core appeal of its gameplay is also tied to how it sounds, and like you genuinely should not play Doom with the sound off. You'd be doing yourself a gigantic disservice.
Yeah.
The appeal of that game.
100% agree. I think that is Doom and the soundtrack is just, they just have to go together. You it's not a game that you can just turn down and then you listen to a podcast while you play, because you are completely losing the point of the whole experience. It feels, like you said, exhilarating. Like my heart rate just jumps as I'm just trying to move forward and jump here and flip here and then switch guns, and you feel like this absolute badass, this carnage that you're propagating. It's just fan-freaking-tastic. So let me ask you, if in theory somebody were to call you today and say, yo, Marmalade, I want you to work with us to do this OST for this game, like what developer or what franchise or what type of game would you compose if you want to? What type of game would you like that to be?
What kind of game I'd like to compose for? Damn.
Or license or dev team?
I mean, license. Then I guess rhythm games. But like, if I wanted to compose for something, I mean, for licensing, I guess you could also do like open world stuff where you get in a car, the car has a radio has music, it's stuff like that.
Oh, do a Grand Theft Auto thing?
Yeah, like licensing stuff for that, cool. I'd happily do stuff like that. But as far as like composition, I think I'd like to score a platformer.
Really?
Like 2D or 3D, it hardly matters to me. It's It's mostly I'd like to compose for a platformer where the core enjoyment of the platformer is learning all the little tricks about the movement to optimize your speed and like fling yourself across the level in a way that people that are just now getting into the game wouldn't actually know how to do. Like, have you played Pseudo Regalia?
I don't think
The,
so. Which
the
one is
Pseudo
that?
Regalia is a indie game, part of a game jam. It's this weird implicit subgenre of 3D platformer called expression platformer,
I'm looking at it
where,
right
like I
now. Yeah.
said, the core of the enjoyment is how can you chain together all these mechanics to optimize your speed and jump distance, and like cover as much ground without ever touching the ground. Is with just like momentum and stuff. Like there's moves that increase momentum. There's moves that get you off the floor but not too high, and there's moves that get you sliding on the wall, and like I'll chain all these things that together and like scale an entire level in a way that the designer of the level probably didn't even mean for you to do.
Yeah.
But they make tools so diverse and expressive that you found your own way up to the end of the level. That's I wanna score a game like that.
Yeah, I'm seeing it right now. It's interesting because like the world move at 60 frames per second, but the character is moving at like what is it, 24? It
Yeah,
moves
the,
differently.
the like that the character you control is moving at like 15 or some shit.
Yeah, reminds me of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where they did different frames for different types of characters to make it look more comic booky. That was fantastic. That was another
Yeah, they,
great
they
movie
have like
with a
a
great soundtrack.
frame they had like a frame rate offset to not just make a thing stand out from its background, but also tell a story about that character and their own personal development. And like they don't start moving in full 24 FPS until they're completely confident in the notion of themselves being the virtuous hero known as Spider-Man.
Yes.
Like Miles Morales is moving at a choppier frame rate than people more confident than him in what they
Yeah.
do, and that is really fucking cool. Because when dude starts moving in full 24s, it's so hype.
It looks
It's
amazing.
so fucking hype.
Yeah, I love that movie so much. I watch it like at least like 3 or 4 times a year when my parents come over because we love that movie so much. It's an awesome
Yeah.
and the OST is so good. It's so freaking good.
I
I love
still
it.
haven't seen that second one, but
You have
that
not seen the second one?
no.
Oh my god,
All I know
dude.
is that Into the Spider Verse is a masterclass of several things, not just animation, but
Yeah,
like the way in which it chooses to use licensed music is also fucking unmatched. It's
yeah.
not like anything.
Yeah. I mean, but the second one, I'm not gonna say it's better because it's a continuation of the first one. You're just getting the same quality. That's what I'm gonna say. Um,
Yeah.
and you're just gonna love it. I mean, seeing them back to back is just it's just such a delight for the eyes and ears. I have an OLED TV downstairs, and I just love playing that movie there, and it just looks freaking brilliant. Those colors, the way they pop, and they go crazier with the animation in the second one, and you'll see why. Certain characters, it's you just gotta watch it. You definitely have to watch it. I don't know if it's on Netflix already. I think it is. I think I saw it, but it definitely is worth a watch.
Yeah. I'm I'm skimming over promotional materials in silence for it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, please do. If you don't have anything to do today, it's a nice movie to just sit down and just take it and watch. It's great.
Yeah, I think I can find the time later for this.
And so I wanted to ask, on your day to day, how how do you think? Are you constantly thinking of sounds when you're walking around? You hear something on the street, and you're like, "Whoa, that's a dope sound that I could implement into my music." Or are you hyper aware of this stuff all the time?
Um, Not really. It's not like a. I'm not consciously going, "Whoa, that's crazy." It'll just either affect me and stand out to me or not. Uh, but yeah, as far as like what it's like to exist in my head for a day, it's it's like it's stress, it's chaos, it's just you're constantly thinking about things you're not doing right now, and a lot of them involve music making, but because that you're trying to tell yourself to be productive, knowing damn well the nature of your own creativity, and that's just like not how that works. you, you, you historically can't just get into something without there being a spark of something already. Usually, when you do that, I end up putting together a draft for something that I don't touch for months, and eventually it becomes something else.
Got it.
But
And
yeah, there's a certain spontaneity to the way I put things together that is that is key to like me wanting to follow through and finish it, because like it just becomes a hyperfixation. I'm experiencing that with the thing I've been working on right now. Uh, I have a song out with a friend. Her name's Dimi. That song's name is IDK. I'm working on our next single together, and it's a very very different one. But I found that thing about it that is just like, oh, I gotta get this done. I gotta show it to her. Like, she's gonna fucking love this. I'm in that phase of the project right now. It just becomes the hyperfixation. And yeah,
oh,
it's chaos. It's unorganized. It can be frustrating to be that, but it's ultimately fucking wonderful, because like you end up coming out with something you really really love
yeah.
before it's out.
It's
That's what
funny
the
because for me, my ideas come randomly, and I can just pull up my phone and just write them on a note saying, remember this idea about this video, or remember to see if you can interview Marmalade and ask him this or do that, or see if you can add this type of music. But in your case, as a musician, if you're walking down the street and you come up with this sound, or you hear something you like, or you're like, damn, this riff would be great, how do you put that down? Do you just open the recorder and you're like, oh, remember this? Just remember that.
Yeah, usually I just like uh I do my morning walks, and sometimes something comes to me during the walk. And I didn't even hear anything in particular. I just remembered a thing I liked a long time ago exists, and it would probably be cool to make a compositional reference to it. Like, I
Yeah.
write something and I sneak a thing in there that vaguely sounds like it, because they did a really cool thing that I wanted to harness. And sometimes I'll just remember it when I wrap up the walk, and other times I'll just be like, you know what? I'll just go home. You know what? Fuck it. I'll turn around. I'll just do this right now. And yeah, I get home and I put a little draft together, and sometimes I will do the funny, all bordering on dangerous thing of not stopping working on it until I have a version that I'd like to show people. And like, next thing you know, it's 8 p.m. and you lost
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 hours of the day working on one thing. And that happens more often than I'd like to admit.
Mm-hmm.
Because like sometimes I have other things I need to do. I have other people's work to work on, and I found myself at the ass end of production on a new thing that did not exist 6 hours ago. And I was like, man, now that I love this, now that I 100% love this and how this sounds, I'm gonna get to the stuff I meant to do today.
Yeah.
Fuck, and I usually don't have a lot of time left in the day. I've been doing a lot better about that, about managing my time for other people's work lately. I'm doing a lot better about that. I used to be awful about starting a new thing with stuff I haven't finished that I need to finish. It's still there. But I'm a lot better about that now. I'm happy to say.
Good. Do you get inspirations from dreams as well? Sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh shit, this sounds fire.
Yeah, sometimes I will have heard a thing in a dream, and dreams, much like anything else about a person, is an amalgamation of past experiences, completely out of context and scrambled as hell in the dream. So yeah, I will sometimes wake up and start composing. You know what? You know what I did? What song was I woke up and I just started composing? Like in the morning, I woke up, I brushed my teeth, and I sat down at the piano and started laying down chords to figure something out. It was the song that would eventually become Gloomy and Tipsy.
Oh, okay.
That one I just like woke up and started composing, and then that same day I had to go to a recording session with my friend Hippie, and like I put together the rest of the beat at his house when we were there to record stuff, and like he heard the first draft of that song, which was the first half of that song. That second half took a little longer for me to write and put together, especially because there's this guitar solo at the end that just brings the whole thing together for me. Oh man, like I love the project already as it was, but with that guitar solo, it's just like, oh man, now I have all new reasons to love this project, and because one thing I like is to keep myself on my toes as I'm listening. I want something to be interesting throughout, and that guitar solo is like the cherry on top. I am so happy I was able to make that happen. Huge thanks to Tanuki for putting that together. That was another case of us working remotely, just talking on Discord. And like they were just laying down guitar tracks, and I was just saying like there were like, I want to say like 6 different versions of the solo, and we just like stitched together the best parts. So that's like maybe 3 chunks of solo, and then 1 auxiliary part I put at the end for that I told him to do at the end to just kind of wrap it up in a neat bow before the hook hits one last time to wrap up the song.
Yeah.
It's like it's just as much Tanuki's dope ass guitar playing and knack for a guitar tone, and because like that's incredibly important to making sure that kind of thing sounds badass, is getting the tone and the pedal chain correct.
Yeah.
Dude is incredible. And also just me telling him, okay, I'm gonna use this bit, that bit, and like he was stitching it together on his DAW before he ever sent it to me, and then I just sort of mixed it in after we had it, and it was fantastic.
Super like awesome experience.
As a production thing.
Yeah.
As a production endeavor, that is one of my proudest pieces of work ever.
Well, I'll certainly listen to that one a little bit closer now. Let me ask you, because I've heard so many artists talk about, hey, like you just said, I spend so much time on this music and it's like my proudest work and I love it and nobody listens to it. But then I made this song that just took me 30 seconds to do and it's like my biggest hit. Have you had experiences like that where people tell you, oh, this is my favorite song? And you're like, that's actually the worst song. I hate this song.
There was it was an old deleted thing by now. It was like it was called, because of the the whole thing I explained with the avatar and like
Yep.
where the character Dr. Marmalade comes from. Like I had a song literally called Dr. Marmalade is a Monkey.
Oh.
And it was sort of a freestyle rap thing. And it was also over an Ape Escape beat I made just for that, just for the purposes of having a thing to write like a free verse to. Because I was on a bit of a rap kick for a bit.
Yep.
And that song, people still get in my DMs asking me where the fuck that song is. And I said it's in the graveyard of SoundCloud private DMs, where it will stay until the end of time. and now it's happening again, but at least I don't hate it at all. That is like I spent so much time and I put in so much detail and effort or whatever the fuck, gloomy and tipsy. But the one people are really getting a kick out of right now is Batata.
Yes, that's a good one.
And when I first showed it to Mafuma, Mafuma said, "Dude, this sounds like it's been like molecularly engineered for live shows." In a way that I wasn't like that. It wasn't my complete intention. I just wanted to make something really fun to listen to,
Yeah.
really crazy and chaotic. That it just sort of happened that was a live show appropriate thing, and like a lot of people like that song now locally. I'm excited to continue to perform that one, but yeah. People like, man, I put like, I'm not frustrated about it. I couldn't be mad because I'm proud of all of this work. Like, so much. This is more so than I've ever been. But it is sort of like that. Like, I did throw Batata together in like a couple days.
Wow.
And I spent, and each day I spent like 2 or 3 hours on it. So yeah, it is like that, but at least it's very much like a happy version of the. I put so much work into this one, but that's the one that's doing all right now. This is the one that's doing well. Yeah, I couldn't be even a little bit, man. I'm so happy to see people resonating with that stuff. It just makes me happy regardless now. I could never be mad about it.
So, thinking about when you first started to even dare yourself to record something and then publish it to where you're at now, how are things different for you? How do you feel about that huge part of your growth?
Well, while I don't think a lot of my really old deleted stuff is all bad, there was one common thread throughout all of it, and that is I would not want to show this to like people in my family. You know, that was a big point of contention for me growing up. You could chalk that up to having a weird, shaky relationship with my family. But music was all I was about, and if I didn't want to show that to people important to me, then I must have not thought that it was that great past a certain point.
Yeah.
So there was always that where it's like, this is great, but would I show it to mom? And like nowadays, it's like, this is great. I would show this to everybody but mom. And Gloomy and Tipsy is the one I would show to mom. You know, like never do that to yourself. That's weird and bad faith and almost mean to yourself. To gauge the appeal and quality of something based on whether or not you'd show someone in your family that has like super like strict tastes on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, would they like it? If this person that doesn't like much outside of this thing that you don't like, would they like this thing? Don't concern yourself with that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you first and foremost love it and would show anybody you made like friends with, anybody that knows you and fucks with you and likes to hang. if you show that person, that's all you need. Just make sure you're proud of it to the people you'd actually want to show things to.
Yeah, so this is a great bridge to this, because I always, when I'm closing off an interview, I always like to ask,
Yeah.
what would you say to a person that goes up to you and says, I love your stuff, I love your music, I want to do the same as you, but I don't know if I can. The market is oversaturated. I don't know how to write music. I don't know how to read music. I don't know the first thing of computers. Like, what should I pursue this or should I not? What advice would you give a person like that?
Well, as like a career thing,
Any
it'll
advice?
always as a career thing, it'll always be like a risky, like a super risky thing. But like whether or not you should do it at all, 100% you should do it. All you need, I've been saying this since high school. All you need is a laptop and a dream.
Hmm.
Uh, just like get. It doesn't matter what you use. Get it however you can, and do it, and see if it's for you, because the barrier to entry has never been lower. And right now, computers capable of doing what I do are cheaper than ever, and that's fucking wonderful, because everyone should have the audacity to try making music if they want to. It's a great thing to just try out as a hobby. Lord knows that I've wanted it to be the main thing I do for a long time, but it has realistically been a hobby. It's just that I've been doing it for so long from such a young age that I got really good at the particulars of putting things together and making them sound, to put it one way, radio ready. Right?
Yeah.
That's just sort of, you do it long enough and you'll just be amazing with time. But the most important thing is, if you have had a piece of music change you in a meaningful and emotional way, and to the point where it wanted to make you try putting your own music together, 100% give that a shot, and a fair shot too. The market being oversaturated shouldn't be what matters to somebody trying to get in, because that would mean like you're thinking of how this is gonna end for you business wise, and what we're talking about right now is still at hobby level.
Mm-hmm.
But we gotta get real about it. First of all, we gotta find out if you love this shit, and then we can talk about markets and stuff and what you should do. And like what I have found out to be the answer so far, the thing that's actually started growing for me in this, is that I started making the music that I wanted to make with zero compromises. And the ability to be able to do that can only come from years of yourself developing your ear for music and your love for music that already exists. A person that has like a handful of inspirations is like a copycat, bordering on plagiarist. A person who has a lifelong experience with so many records that they've loved and enjoyed throughout their life, and like so many different pieces of media and so many human experiences tied to the media that'll make it 100% unforgettable for you. That person is inspired, and that is an important difference. And that's why chasing sound trends will always come off as chasing trends. It's because we know, like the layman will know when a thing is inspired and when it's not. Mm-hmm. Because you will sound like a dollar store version of a thing they already know and like. So they're not gonna like your version of it. They already have that guy. We already have the Migos. We already have Lil Uzi Vert. We already have, if we want to go more local, we already have Anuel. We already have Brian Myers. We already have all these fucking people. Like you want to be. Why would you want to be Ozuna if we already have Ozuna? Like you should be inspired by Ozuna. That if Ozuna inspires you, that's fine. But don't make it obvious that that's it. That's all this is.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be on a core human level modified and changed by music that actually inspired you. And a lot of people have lost what the meaning of the word inspiration means. And that's sad, because I've heard somebody say, "Oh, I was inspired by this drift funk thing I heard, so I started making drift funk."
Okay.
That's not what that means.
Yeah.
That's not what that fucking means, dog. I'm sorry. You liked drift funk enough to start making it. That is not inspiration. You just hopped on this thing because it sounds cool right now. And like the moment other people stop doing it, you're gonna stop doing it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a sonic identity yet. And that's okay. That takes a lot of time. But you actually have to take that time. Because I'm not going to be able to give anyone the secret to how I sound the way that I do in like a masterclass that you can pay for.
Yeah.
Like I can't teach you to have taste. You need to grow up loving music to acquire taste. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So like make sure above all else that you love what you're doing. Because if that's not there, you should not be talking about saturated markets and shit like that. You've already lost the plot.
Makes sense. Absolutely. So, closing off here, what would you like to promote for people to know where you're going to be at, where you're going to be playing, places they can find you?
That's Dr. Marmal8. That's Dr. Marmal8 on Instagram. To get my music, you can support me by listening on the streaming services and all that, but the intent 100% is that my music is available for free and forever on the Bandcamp.
Okay.
I make it a point that is something about me that I want to be 100% clear. That is, you don't need to engage with just monetized platforms to listen to my music. It's all free on the Bandcamp. I do not care. And yeah, that's really about it. I'm gonna be performing shows very regularly in places like 787 VIP Lounge, places like Karma Lounge, and Karma Lounge is in Rio Piedras, 77 VIP Lounge is in Santurce, and this weekend, actually, this Saturday, I'm gonna be in a skate bar. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Guys, I want to thank Marmalade so much for the time that he has given me, the talent that he has shown, the passion. I really appreciate his work. Thank you so much, Marmalade. Guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Take care. Thanks for having me, by the way, man. This is a lot of fun.
Sounds good. Thanks.
I'm getting worse at keeping up appearances, and it hurts. I put myself first, 'cause nobody gave a fuck about my worth. I don't need you to love me, I'd just need to love myself. Why you trying to find me for something that is just not there? Girl, I can't do this anymore. And I know it's not that you don't wanna do this with me. You don't wanna do this shit at all. But I don't think you were listening when I said I'll do this on my own. Now I'm gloomy, I'm tipsy, and now I have to get you on my phone. And I know it's not that you don't wanna do this with me. You don't wanna do this shit at all. But I don't think you were listening when I said I'll do this on my own. Now I'm gloomy, I'm tipsy, and now I have to get you out my soul. Si aún estás conmigo, no entiendo lo que tú quieres. No te importa que me heriste, déjame en paz si tú no me quieres. Lo digo sin rencor, sinceramente te deseo el segundo mejor. No quiero ni un simple adiós, me tuviste orando y yo sin nada que decirle adiós. Yo tengo tantas cosas que a mí me quedan por hacer.